Hey everybody, what's going on? It's episode 99 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is located right here in Iowa. They will make coffee for you specifically. That is coffee that's been roasted for your order only. They're not roasting hundreds of pounds of coffee and then just praying and hoping somebody buys it. Oh no, this is fresh coffee and it's shipped to your house. You interested? Go to www.couchtowncoffee.com and find a coffee you like and make an order. If you make an order this week, we can even save you 20%. I say we, but it's Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is offering 20% off to all of the Audible Farm listeners this week. So if you make an order this week, let them know that Audible Farm sent you by entering the code word ukulele. Ukulele is the code word this week. It will save you 20% on all of your orders at Couchtown Coffee. So let them know Audible Farm sent you and save yourself 20% and tell them thanks because Couchtown Coffee is supporting live music just like we are. Why is the code word ukulele this week? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm sitting down with somebody I didn't know until the podcast. Her name's Candice Rowland. And Candice, I have no clue how we became Facebook friends, but I saw her sharing some videos of her playing ukulele and singing along, and it kind of intrigued me. So I wanted to see, what was her, motivation to do this. She doesn't really play too much in a band or play too many shows or anything like that. She's played at some open mic nights and things like that, and around fires here and there, but not too much. And it just kind of made me curious as to what drives her to play the ukulele and record some stuff and get it out there on the internet, and whether or not she had any desire to go out and play shows or if that was something that she had any desire to do at all anyways. So it was just kind of fun getting to know her and getting to know what drives her to do what she does. And that's one of the things that is fun about music is you can do whatever you want and there's not really any rules to it. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. It was fun getting to know Candice, and hope you guys enjoy it just as much as I did. This is episode 99 with Candice Rowland.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
I'm sitting down today with Candice Rowland, and Candice, I'm still unsure how you and I became Facebook friends. Like, that's something that's still kind of bothered me because I'm not really one to just add too many people. But I don't know if I saw you, somebody had maybe shared a video of you or something, but that's how I was first introduced to you, or that's how I categorized you online, was you were the gal that was playing ukulele songs on my Facebook feed sometimes. And I was intrigued by it. And I'd actually asked you a while back whether or not you wanted to do a podcast. And, well, I guess, it was one of those things. Timing didn't work out and things, but we're finally sitting down talking, and we've been trying to save as much of the conversation for the podcast as possible. But what got you into playing ukulele or music in general? Let's start with music in general. What was your drive to play music? Was the ukulele your first instrument? There's 5 questions. Go.
No, I tried to play the guitar when I was about 19. I got a guitar for Christmas that I'd asked for, and I loved it. I practiced it a little bit here and there, thinking, I was just going to instantly be good, and I wasn't. And I don't know, I kind of gave up on it, which I'm just too much of a perfectionist sometimes to where I won't allow myself to be bad at something long enough to get good at it. So
okay.
I just pick up on one thing and, what's the word I'm looking for? Dabble. I dabble with different types of art sometimes, and but I hate being bad at anything, so I just give up too easily. But I've always really loved singing. It's just something that I'll do in my free time. I'll do when I'm alone, and I wanted to be able to sing in public. I guess I wanted to be able to not just do karaoke, which is, a blast, but I really respect other musicians and the work that they do and how they, bring people together. To me, making music is like making magic. It brings so much meaning to life and makes it worth living to me. And I just wanted to be able to be a part of that. And I didn't want to always have to rely on someone else to play guitar or accompany me while I was singing. Because a few musicians let me sing with them at, random open mic nights here and there or their gigs. And I really loved it. But I was just, I don't know, I love instruments in general, even though, I've never considered myself to be super naturally talented at any of them or put enough work into it to where I am. But I saw a ukulele at Guitar Center and I was just like, crap, that's only $100, and so I just kind of bought it on a whim, thinking it would be something to bring, just to make life interesting, I guess, for a while, or see if I could do better at that than I did at guitar. It's only got 4 strings, and so I taught myself some chords with some books and YouTube videos, and just kind of used it as an excuse to be able to sing like wherever I want. You can't just sing a cappella because life isn't, like a kid's movie where people are just bursting into song all the time.
True.
It'd be great, but
oh man, we're all skipping down the street, snapping low and stuff. That'd be sweet. Like, what do you think your drive difference was? Because I mean, you played the guitar and you said you're too much of a perfectionist to sit and quote unquote be bad at something, so you kind of just let it go. But like with the ukulele, you said you like bought books and looked online and wanted to get better. Like, did you have a guitar instructor at all, or was it just something you just kind of picked up and was like, let's see if we can figure this out?
I just wanted to see if I could figure it out.
So how did you learn anything? Did you just go online and learn that way, or?
No, because I don't even think YouTube existed back then. But my stepdad plays guitar, and he had a bunch of books that he had written down the lyrics to songs that he enjoys. Lots of 70s classic rock, the Eagles, stuff that's lot a few chords and pretty easy to play. And I like that music too. I'm kind of old school that way, or I love a lot of different genres. So he gave me a few pointers and, showed me a few different chords. But he's not a super, I don't want to say he's not super talented or anything, but, he's self-taught, and it's not something that he's ever pursued,
not
as much
professional level,
Right,
Yeah.
right, absolutely. Like, he was in a few bands here and there several years ago, but so then I knew the chords and I could get those down, but as far as the strumming, I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I keep the right rhythm? And he was like, oh, just do whatever feels good. And I don't know, I still feel like that's one of the main areas where I probably struggle, is keeping the right rhythm, and singing at the same time. That's something I need to work on. But
I had heard somebody say once that your left hand when you're playing is what you know, and your right hand when you're playing is what you feel. Does that ring any bells? So like, I always thought that was kind of weird that like, especially when I taught guitar lessons, and I'm still teaching some here and there, but when I was teaching them very frequently, that was the hardest thing to teach someone, was how to strum, because you can't like show them exactly how tight to squeeze the pick, because everyone uses a different pick or squeezes it different, tightness, or grips it differently, or different sizes of pick. Don't even use a pick, and I mean, there's not really any rules when it comes to the strumming patterns as far as what you can do. I mean, just as an example, you and I were at a jam night earlier tonight at Boggs Hole Avenue Tavern, the blues jam on Sunday night, and there was a guy there that was playing, and he didn't use a pick, and like, didn't matter. He was just as good as everybody else, so there's really no rules to it. But I think it's kind of interesting that you said that was like one of the things you kind of struggled with, was the strumming pattern, because I mean, quite honestly, I think that's one of the more challenging things, because you can watch thousands and thousands and thousands of videos on like, this is where you put your hands on the frets, but nobody ever really explains how to strum the instrument. That's not really something too many people sit down to explain, and it's not easy to explain. So, I mean, you're definitely justified in that sense, that was something that was, difficult to learn, and I mean, he was right just saying just do it however you feel, whatever you feel is right, and it's going to be right, and But like I said, it's tough to teach that. But how did you overcome that when you got to the ukulele then?
Well, I started off playing some songs that I found that it was suggested to just use an up-down strum pattern, and that's, the easiest thing I found. So I went with that for a while, and then it kind of evolved into, certain songs. I just kind of felt them a different way, so I would play them a little bit differently. Or, with the chords that went to the song, then I would, it started to sound good a particular way, and I'd play it like that. I definitely would look up what's the proper strum pattern for this and this song. But, trying to think about, well, up, down, up, down, up, while I'm singing was just, more work than I felt like putting in at the time. And I just get so impatient. I wouldn't want to just be playing strum patterns. I'd want to be singing along with it. So, I've kind of rushed into posting videos of, me just... Well, I played this a couple times. Sounds good enough to me. I'm going to put it out there for, hopefully someone else to enjoy, and just so I can remember it and see it myself before I lose my nerve and decide not to play anymore, not to post anything, because that self-consciousness is still always there. I have such a respect for musicians, and I'm just captivated by how complex and beautiful they can make a show, and trying to compare yourself to someone that's been really putting in a lot of work is just, I've felt that if I do start to try and compare myself to other people, then, I don't get very far. I have to do something just because I love doing it. And that's why I do it, because it just brings me a lot of joy. It takes me somewhere else. I don't know if it's true, but I heard there was that there's some study or something that shows that when you're singing, your mind is in a different place than when you're talking.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that just generally on the aspect of like people with accent singing and all the accent disappears, or people with a stutter and their stutter disappears when they sing. I could definitely see that. It's gotta be using a different part of your brain or something. There's gotta be something going on there. So I could definitely see that being, an escape, at least, if nothing else. So like, do you think that the ukulele was just easier to learn then, and that's why you stuck with it? Or do you think that, like, I guess, to me, like, I picked up the guitar first and learned the guitar, and then I picked up a ukulele later, and I can play one, not very well, but I can play one. I can play chords and play songs and things like that, but I stuck with the guitar, and you did the flip-flop. You picked up guitar first, and then you went to ukulele, and you stuck with the ukulele. Was there like a reason you chose the ukulele, or did you just gravitate towards it better, or was it just the fashion statement of the time where it's just like, well, this is what, people are doing is they're playing ukuleles now, so I'm going to play one, or what was it?
No, and I didn't really know anyone else that played one. Since I've played, just the past few years, I've met other people that have, or I've met other girls that are like, oh, I tried playing that too, because I love to sing and I just want to be able to accompany myself. And I'm almost just, I love being contrary. So for me to do something just because other people are doing it, that's just not really me. But
that's definitely not the reason why you did it then. No.
No, I think it's because I had an electric guitar in the beginning, and the way that I like to sing, or just I feel like people that play electric guitar have so much more of, it feels like they just have a natural understanding of where they're supposed to put their hands or what they can experiment with. And I just never really, unfortunately, took too much music theory when I was in school. Just kind of told myself that, there are people that are musicians and there are people that are not. And same with art. But that's, I've found not the case, that people are capable of doing whatever they set their mind to for real, or you can be good at anything if you really work at it. So I've, even though a lot of other people started young and that's kind of intimidating, I am glad I've finally let go a lot of that fear of, singing in front of people, playing in front of people, because it feels so good to let go of fear, no matter what kind it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's something that's really difficult, and I mean even me being somebody who's played, dozens or whatever of shows, I still have that odd, like self-conscious fear or whatever, to an extent. It's not like I get like nervous, before shows too much. I still get a little bit of nerves, but maybe in the whole fact that like I don't think I'd be comfortable playing a ukulele singing, and then just being like, hey world, this is the thing I did, I would be so self-conscious to do that. So just the fact that you can do that is, the fact that you're strong enough to do that's pretty awesome. I think about the same parallel there with like music, people who write music, like full songwriters, people who write like something to an acoustic song. I mean, there's plenty of people that come to mind, maybe not from your area down here that I would know, but I've written songs, but I'm always just like, nobody's going to like this. And then you just crumple it up and throw it away because it's like, I don't think anybody will like this. But like some people have the strength to put it out there and see what people think, and more often than not, the feedback's positive. I mean, almost nobody ever goes out of their way to tell you did a bad job. Plus, like, the best part about somebody else playing music is they're playing music and you don't have to do it, like, and that's one of the reasons I think I enjoy watching other people play music so much. Is they're out there doing it. I don't have to do it, and then I get to see what comes out of their brain and not mine. I mean, if we had to be honest, like your song choices to sing playing ukulele would be much different than anything I would prefer to sing and play, but that's also some of the funness of it. That's some of the funness of like, we went to a jam night. I didn't know what anybody was going to play, and I don't think anybody knew what they were going to play, but you got to hear like a whole bunch of different songs, but you got to hear other people playing them too. So I got to go sit and enjoy music. Somebody else chose all the music and they even played it, and that's just as much fun, I think, as actually playing it, as far as I'm concerned. But that was like one of the things I think that drew me to you, putting stuff out there, was you didn't like play to a click track and make everything super, super absolute perfect. And you just, here, I did this. And I don't know if you do them all in one take. Like, I don't know, so like maybe you just do it. This is the first take I did. Guess what? It was pretty good. Let's put it online. Like, I don't know what your formula for deciding what videos you're going to put online is, but like, do you usually sit down and do like 20 takes of a song and then pick the best one, or how do you do it?
No, I'll usually do it in one take unless I just royally mess up. If I just, hit a wrong note, forget something, forget the words, or some other sound in the background, ruins the whole thing. And, although a lot of times, if it's a small enough mistake, I'll just keep going. But sometimes it's just bad enough. I know I need to retake it. So it would probably, the finished product would be, I'm sure, a lot better if I practiced it a lot more, took several takes, and then picked the best one. But mainly, I want to get the song out there before the passion leaves. If I play the same thing over and over again, am I going to have the same feeling each time when I play it? Is it really going to evoke that emotion in my voice, or just in my delivery? Because this might sound sort of silly, but, I think a lot of people struggle with loving themselves, or at least I know a lot of women that do. Maybe guys don't admit to it as much, but when I can watch like a video of myself playing, whether I think I'm not saying I think I'm fantastic or anything, but just, knowing that I can see that joy, in my face and in my smile as I'm singing, and I remember how good it felt to do that, and I feel like it's easier to criticize yourself than it is, at least for me, to criticize other people. I can look at someone else and think, oh, they're valid, they're beautiful, they're worthy. And I've personally struggled with being able to see that in myself. So when I'm looking at a video of myself, doing something that I love, then I can start to, come out of myself a little bit and love that person, even though it's me.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying about like you want to get it out there before the passion's gone, Like if you played the song 400 times, are you going to be excited to still play it, And there's nothing that is more disappointing than going on stage or like going and watching somebody go on stage or play and they're just like straight faced and they look like they're super bored about everything that's going on, like non-enthused about playing guitar, and it's like, I mean, there is something to be said about like maybe like a stone-faced musician, somebody who just never shows emotion, but like there is also something to say is like this guy's obviously bored doing what he's doing. Like the passion is gone. You can, like you said, you can see it, you can tell. I mean, sometimes it's in facial expressions, sometimes it's in body language, sometimes it's in the vocals, and I guess if you're doing all of the everything in the video, I mean, it all comes back down to being on your shoulders. So like, you never know, like if you played the same song 400 times and then got the perfect recording, you might just be like, your eyes might have bags underneath them, you might just be like tired, you're all slumped over and just like, I don't even care about this anymore, I just want to do this and get it right, and you're deleting that from ever being an option by going through and recording it, like you said, for the most part, just like one or two takes, and it's just like, hey, we got it, and that's one of my favorite things about playing music. You did also mention like messing up and then stopping and re-recording, but like I think that's some of my favorite things about going to like jam nights, especially if people are playing songs they've never heard or you're playing on the fly and it's like all of a sudden you hit a really sour note and you're like, oh, and all the musicians just kind of like look and chuckle and wink at you, a little bit. They're like, oh, hey, like we all heard that. That's funny though, and like nobody's picking on each other, but I think that's also the beauty of music is messing up sometimes, believe it or not. Do you ever like try to tackle a song that you think is like too difficult for you and then end up figuring out a way to champion the song by the end of it all?
Yeah, I have. There was a song that I just really love listening to, and I love singing it. And the chords that went along with it were, and I hate to say it, I think it was only 2 chords. But there's a certain chord that was just so difficult to finger. It takes all 4 fingers, and they're all over the place. And I don't know. Like I said, I get impatient. So what I did is I found alternate chords to play and then looked up videos of, well, how do people strum this song or how do they play it at all? And so I found a pretty simple finger picking pattern that I thought I could do. And so that's like one of the only songs that I actually attempt to finger pick, play the individual notes. And really, I don't know. I love singing it so much. But finding those alternate chords was the key because I was so hopeful to be able to play it that I even pulled the keyboard out from under my bed, which I dabble in things. When I was a kid, I tried to learn how to play the piano and didn't stick with that either. So I still have a keyboard though, and I pulled it out from under my bed, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play these chords on a freaking keyboard, if that's what it comes to, just so that I can sing this song.
All right, so as typically happens, my SD card went full. It's happened before. It'll happen again. But we're back. So I forgot where we left off. Do you remember?
Now all I can think of is, and we're back.
And we're back. No, so like we were talking about, here, I know where we can jump back into this. Finger picking. So like you were talking about how you like learned how to finger pick, and that's something that I've tried a handful of times that I'm not the best at. I can pull off a few songs, but I'm just not the best at. Was that something that was like excruciatingly difficult for you, or did you just find a video that helped you figure it out and you just said, oh wow, this is how you do it?
I found a simple enough, super repetitive pattern that I'm so self-conscious about it. I think I've only played it in front of a few people. because I feel like it's just too repetitive. It's too simplistic, and I want to be able to, build on that, or find something more complicated. I really want to find, just the strength to stop making excuses for why I don't practice enough, and let go of that self-consciousness, like, because it really shouldn't matter who else is around. If you feel passionate about something, if you love doing something, then, definitely it's important, I think, to take that time away from everything else in your life, everyone else in your life, and just devote, your time and your love to that for a while, because that's you loving yourself.
It comes back once again, I think, to that like being self-conscious thing. We're all self-conscious to some extent, but like you're self-conscious about the simplicity of a finger picking pattern you're using, and I'm over here and it's not that I couldn't do it, but I currently cannot. If you put a ukulele in front of me and said, this is what I'm doing, I would have to practice to figure out how to do it. So I can't do it, as of right now. So you're doing something I can't do. There's no reason to be self-conscious if you're doing something I can't do, regardless of how simple it is. And I think that's something we all forget about so much. I was actually talking with a guy recently about how I think one of the things I enjoy about music is the fact that it's came out of somebody else's head, and like all original songs have some sort of merit in my brain just for the simple fact that somebody else's brain thought of it and mine didn't, and probably couldn't have, based on my current wiring, my life experiences and everything. Like I wouldn't have ever thought of that song. I wouldn't have ever thought to put those chords together. And that's one reason I enjoy other people doing it so much. And I think that's, comes back to like that finger picking thing. Like no matter how simple it is, it's probably still really cool, and that's something that I think we should, I'm sure that we all struggle a little bit with this, but some of us probably more than others. But I think having that self-confidence to get it out there is, I mean, you still have the confidence to do it, that's something, even that, that's not that I don't, but once again, I haven't. So we're coming back to like, I'm still just somebody that can't finger pick, but no matter how simple you can. So we're right back to, you can do something I can't do, and it's cool. So no matter how simple you think it is, somebody else probably thinks it's cool.
Well, I had just taught it to myself one day, and then I went to a music festival, and I was talking to a guy that played mandolin, and I showed it to him, and we had talked a few other times, and he was really supportive. He had seen me like just randomly try to play the uke around a fire pit, and nobody was paying attention, and I was just like, nobody likes it. I'm just like, that jerk at the party that brings the guitar.
We've all been there.
But so having the encouragement from, what I consider to be real musicians was just so helpful, because he was like, oh yeah, that sounds great, and why don't you go play it around the fire, and I'll accompany you on the mandolin, and we'll put everything together. He's like, this is how people jam. Like, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, like, we're all just here because we love music. So yeah, that's helped me out a lot, I think.
Definitely. How do you choose what songs you're going to do? Do you have like any merit, or are they just songs that you like, or is it like this one seems kind of easy, I'll give it a go, or what do you choose?
I've literally gone on Google and just at the beginning typed in easy ukulele songs, or in the books that I have, I picked out different songs from there that I thought sounded good, or that I enjoyed singing. And, I've, over the past few years, I've taught myself, a few more complicated things than what I knew in the beginning. And it feels great, actually, because I saved old videos, and, I started off just really not having any confidence whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that I have allowed myself to build on that, and that I see so much more joy in myself when I'm playing than when I did at the beginning. That's been a big encouragement for me. I think, I don't know, I don't want to share like TMI or anything, but I've really struggled with depression, during, the earlier portion of my life. And I think I think maybe as people get older and wiser and realize what really matters, at least for me, I'm a lot happier now. And maybe it's just a part of like figuring out who you are and who you want to be and allowing yourself to be that person. But I think at the beginning when I first picked up the ukulele, I was not in such a great place, emotionally, and I needed something to save me. And music, I think, is something that has saved me multiple times and saves so many people. It sounds really cliche, oh, dude, your music saved me. But to me, it's true because music is like, it's a transfer of energy. It's, someone's deepest, most precious emotions that have been brought to life, in the form of sound. It's something truly original and beautiful and art that you can carry over to someone else, that you can share with another human being. And so when I hear music, I'm able to quiet the voices, in my mind that I don't always want to listen to, anxiety, criticism, whatever. And I can just be in this passion and this love with everyone else hearing the music, with the person that created it, which is why I would love to be able to write my own music, but I haven't gotten there yet. If I ever do, I don't know if people are just sometimes left-brained or right-brained, but I'm the other one. I'm mathematical.
I'm the other one. Whatever the good one is, I'm the other one. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, we're doing this podcast outside. We got somebody hanging out kind of nearby, but we're going to keep going because it's totally fine. So, it's one of those cool things, though. I think that music is such an escape for people. And I think when some people get their first taste of actually making their own music, they realize how much deeper of an escape it can actually be from reality. Because when you're playing music, you don't really have the convenience of being able to allow your brain to like think about something stupid you said the day before, or like this thing that went down at work and I'm mad, or there's none of that. There's no room for it in your brain when you're making music, when you're ripping solos, when you're singing, when you're playing the ukulele, when you're doing video recordings. Your brain doesn't have the luxury of doing that. So, you can enjoy music, cruising around in your car, singing your pipes off. But like, if you're playing the music, it's a completely different thing because you're so enamored and engulfed in it that there's nothing else you can even do. I think that's one of the things that maybe that's just me, but that allowed at least me for a greater escape from reality was the ability of that. You have the ability to just shut off everything outside and it doesn't matter. And it's almost like I'd go to jam nights and you play a song and the first thing I think is like, I hope I'm in the right key. And the second thing I think is I hope the song doesn't go too long because if the longer it goes, the more chance I have of screwing it up. But by the time the song's over, it's like it was like an instant from the beginning of the song to the end. It's like it didn't even happen. My brain just shut off. I didn't think about who else was at the bar. I didn't think about who I was playing with. I didn't think about whether or not it was good enough. I just did it. And that was one of the things I think that garnished me a little bit of an escape from reality was that. Maybe that's just me that's my parallel to your story, I guess. I don't really have too much more to add to it. But, who are some of your favorite artists as far as, to play their music? Because you said at the beginning you just kind of chose simpler songs, but then you figured out how to play better, and then you were like, well, I want to choose these songs instead. What are some of your favorites to choose, and why would you choose them?
I think one of my favorite songs to play, I've always been a Beatles fan, big time, ever since I was probably 9 years old. And I bought my mom a Beatles CD, because she said she liked them, and I ended up being the one listening to the song all the time, or listening to the CD all the time. And I've just, respected and loved them so much. They have such a variety of different types of songs. And so when I finally taught myself how to play, a Beatles song, I felt like I could really, let my heart soar on that one. I don't know if I even know multiple songs from different bands. It's just kind of all over the place. It's like, well, what can I find the chords to? What do I, think is in my range? As far as the stuff I'm able to play on the ukulele, it's way different than, the stuff that I like to sing otherwise. If I could play electric guitar and sing Guns N' Roses, I would.
Let's hear it. I want to hear it. Wow, wow, sweet child of mine. Oh my gosh. So that's recorded forever on a podcast, thankfully. Anyways, yeah, you'd do Guns N' Roses if you could, but
I would.
like, what were some of your favorites? Like, who did you choose other than the Beatles then?
Let's see. Well, the that really easy song that I started off with that had the up down strum pattern, and it's just pretty much a constant chord progression throughout the whole song, was a Taylor Swift song, and she's what can I say? Like, she writes her own music. That's fantastic. Is it cool to like Taylor Swift when you're, in your 30s? Maybe not.
Well, yeah.
But
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. To each their own.
right. But I really enjoyed playing that. I've enjoyed kind of seeing where I can go with it, singing it in different ways. I don't even remember the last time I heard her sing it. So I just do my own thing. And I really enjoy playing some of the older, what I call just like hippie music. There's a song by the Youngbloods, and the lyrics are just so beautiful to that song that, I don't even care if I'm drawing out the notes too long, or, if it doesn't sound exactly like it sounds on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to sing those words because they mean so much to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is definitely something to that too. Like a song that you attach yourself to the words, somehow I feel like it makes it more entertaining to play the song, or like, sucks you in a little bit more while you're playing it. Like you said, you could, let yourself soar on that one, something like that. I mean, conversely though, just the same exact thing, but the opposite end of it. I've played songs that I don't enjoy, but they're still fun to play too. So like, there's songs that it's like, I wouldn't normally ever want to play this song, but it's like a little bit challenging and a little bit fun just in the fact of like how it's organized, where it's like, this is actually a pretty fun song to play, regardless of the fact that I don't necessarily maybe enjoy the song so much. But that is also a tribute to like music and growing up and appreciating it. A good example is that you said you like the Beatles, and I was like pretty much into the Beatles when they were like a pop band only. I was like really into like their first couple albums tops. Like that's it. Like any farther than that, I was like, this is weird, and I didn't really care for it too much until I got to be an adult and I started to appreciate it more. And I've done that with a lot of bands, but like it comes back to that thing where like as a youngster you have a different frame of mind than you do when you get older. But like there's some Beatles songs, and I've never tried to attempt too many of them, but I bet some of them are a blast to play, just based on the fact that some of them are slightly more intricate than normal songs, especially the deeper in the Beatles catalog you go. It's like, oh, this isn't just 4 chords repeated over and over again, with a nice cheery thing going. There's a lot deeper stuff going on here, so you have the ability to, add a lot more depth to the music. That was one of the coolest things about them, I guess. As an adult, I can say that. If you asked me that when I was 18, I would have been like, no, they're terrible. Beatles are overrated. And it's like, well, that's definitely not the case, biggest selling band ever in the history of ever, maybe. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things I think I enjoy most about music, is the fact that you can find joy in more aspects of it than you initially probably thought you would have. Is there anything like that music has, brought you joy doing? Like, for example, like I said, I know you from playing music online. I see some of your videos here and there when you would post them, but you were talking about playing out in front of a fire kind of with some other people. Do you play much around other people? Is that something you do, or do you just mostly just play for yourself?
I have to have somebody ask me to play almost. I have to have somebody actually be like, hey, why don't you, get out your ukulele? Otherwise, I feel like I'm just interrupting the conversation, and, it's just completely unwarranted. I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, look at me, look what I can do. And, because when you're singing, I feel like, I don't know, I'm just too awkward I don't want other people to feel like they have to shut up. I don't want them to shut up. I don't want all eyes on me. But I still enjoy sharing it with other people. So, yeah, and doing like small little festivals or singing around a campfire. It's I still get shy, so there have been a few times I've just started off playing alone, or I've had, just one person say like, hey, I heard you play this one time, like, why don't you play for everybody? I almost have to be like prompted to do it. And I don't know, but even saying that, I feel like I'm just being a drama queen.
No, I totally get you. Like, I get it. So, like, I'd go to jam nights in Barnum all the time, and it's this tiny town. They'd have jam nights. There's, like, no pressure. Anybody who plays anything can go up there. And, I mean, like, non-drummers sit on the drums and play the drums to songs. Like, that's how open-ended it is. And I'm still, like, sometimes too shy to go up there, because, like, nobody's going to want to hear this. Or, like, you don't need lead guitar on this song. Just play it the way you want to play it. But, like, Brad, the guy who plays bass at most of the jams, he would just like bring a guitar with and plug it in and turn on the amp and set it there. And it's just like, all you have to do is pick this up and play it. Like, it's right there. And everybody wants you to, so just go ahead and do it. And if it's that convenient, like you said, if somebody prompts you to do it and it's all right there, it's almost like you can't say no. And then you do it and you have fun anyway. So this big self-conscious thing, it comes back to being self-conscious, but it's like this big self-conscious thing is completely alleviated altogether just by convenience, and thanks to Brad just bringing a guitar in there. And I mean, I think some of that is exactly like you said, you almost have to be prompted, and it's like you almost don't want to do it, but when somebody asks you to do it, you're like, yeah, I guess so. And then you start doing it, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm glad we're doing this, and it's something maybe you wouldn't want to choose. You don't want people to just stare at you and be like the center focal point of attention. Like you said, look what I can do, Stuart on Mad TV. No, look what I can do. Anyways, but yeah, so like there's a deep reference for somebody. Somebody will enjoy that on the podcast.
Let me do it.
Yeah, there it is. You know it. Cool. Awesome. But yeah, so like I feel the same way. Like I've got a flashy guitar, and I've got pedal board that lights up, and I play in a punk band. It's high energy, and I'm running all over the place. But is it overcompensation for lack of ability? Because that's like obviously my biggest nerve factor as far as playing guitar always. But like when I'm up there doing it, I never think about any of that, And I think I'm assuming it's true for you too. Once you're like actually playing, it's not like you were thinking about how nervous you were before. You're just doing it, You're in the moment, and that's comes back to what I think is so good about music. Have you ever played at like any jam nights, or have you played like at any like quote unquote, I would call them like shows? I'm using air quotes for people that can't see because I don't do video. But like, have you ever gone to a show and like played along with another band, or been like, oh, we're gonna have Candice up here and she's gonna play this song for us? Or
I've done several open mic nights when the Waverly was still open. I liked playing there, and the guys that were hosting that kind of went over to the Gas Lamp, and I've played there a few times, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Gas Lamp's fun.
Yeah. There's a guy named Jeffrey who's in a band called The Sheet and Some Friends, and he's such a great musician. You can tell he loves it, and he's so encouraging. I swear every time I've played there, he's like, Candice, you get better every time. And so that's been great. As far as playing with other people, I know I'm not always playing the right timing, and so I get nervous that they're going to be like, oh wow, she doesn't really know what she's doing.
That's the beauty of folk, though. Folk style music, you don't really have to. You can just kind of meander your way through it.
Right. So I was just kind of playing randomly out by myself outside of a bar one time while I was waiting for a friend inside. I just kind of carry my uke around with me and play it randomly to pass the time, because I don't want to be one of those people that's on my phone all the time. Like, I want to be in the moment, but I don't know, there was nobody to talk to, so I got my uke and I just started playing randomly. And then this lady came up to me, or a few people came up and sat by me, and she was like, I really like your playing. I'm doing a private party. I'm a real estate agent, and I have all these clients that I'm putting on a party for, and I would like you to play at this party.
Oh,
Can
snap.
you do a couple of hours of songs? I'm like, a couple of hours? Like, I don't know if I know that many songs. And so I told her, maybe I'll only commit to 1 hour. And she was like, oh, please, I really want you to be there, the whole time. You can take as many breaks as you want. It's going to be, super chill. And I was insanely nervous about it. But when I did it, it was great, And thankfully, I wasn't the center of focus. I had my own little spot out on this patio of a real estate company building, and could play out under the full moon, which was great.
Oh, that's cool.
My ukulele's name was Luna, which was like the brand, but it's it's a pretty name too. So that's what I ended up naming her. And so the first time I, got paid for playing music, I got to be under a full moon like that. And then the weird thing, if I can just go way off topic.
Keep going.
There was a night that I played it at a music festival, just around a fire with some dirty hippies, my friends, and there was a full moon that night, and that was the last night that Luna ever got to play a song because I was really irresponsible. I set it on the ground and it got stepped on.
Oh no.
And then I had to actually play ukulele the next morning at a funeral for an old man I knew that had lived a wonderful life, was a great guy. He was 92 years old and he passed from this world. And he was actually the one that taught me. He's like, how you tune a ukulele? It's my dog has fleas.
Yep, yeah.
And he came from a super musical family, and I love talking about music with him. Before he passed away, we knew, that he was not long for this world, and there was one day everyone was freaking out thinking that was going to be the day, and a bunch of people from, my family and his friends rushed over there to maybe say goodbye if that was going to be his last day on this planet. And I had brought my uke, and he was a religious guy. I'm not really myself, but I do think the song Amazing Grace is beautiful, and it was my father's favorite song as well. And I had taught myself to play that at one point.
Oh, nice.
And so I played that for him that day. And then back to my original point was, the night that Luna got broken, I was like, well, I need a ukulele to play at a funeral in the morning because I'm going to be playing Amazing Grace. So I went and got a brand new one, and it was an acoustic electric. So that way, it made it easier for me to play at shows and stuff. I didn't have to get any special little microphone for the uke. I could just plug right in, and I was like, if I'm going to spend $100 on, another uke, I might as well spend $200 on one I can actually, plug in. And
Well, I mean, $100 for a uke, $50 plus for a microphone thingy you got to plug in, and then all this other stuff, and it just adds up to being $200 anyways. Plus, you have less hassle, so makes sense.
Right. I haven't really solidified a name for the new one, though. I'm toying with ideas.
All right, so you need to shoot your suggestions for ukulele names to Candice. You will find all the stuff in the description section. No. I think one of the beauties of the ukulele, like you were talking about how you brought it everywhere, and that's one of the beauties is it's not a full range instrument. I wouldn't call it full range, but it's got a pretty wide range. You can do a lot of things with it, and it's small, and you can travel with it, and it's non-cumbersome, and it's easy for people with big fingers, little fingers, everything to play. Bigger fingers maybe not so much, but it's still like I've got big biscuit hooks here, and biscuit hooks. I got big biscuit hooks. I stole that from a guy I worked with. Shout out to Dewey. But, I can still play the ukulele pretty well. There's nothing I have too much difficulty playing. And so I never looked at like big hands as like a detriment. But I also look at the fact that like ukulele, like you said, you can get what I would consider a pretty nice ukulele for $100. And that's pretty insane to think that you can get like an instrument that is that versatile and that portable, etc. And it's only $100. And I think that's one of the appeals of the instrument because you can get a ukulele for $50 and it's still good enough to play, and that's one of the coolest things because you go get a $50 guitar, I don't know if it's going to be worth playing, you know.
Do they make those?
There are $50 guitars out there, but do you think some of that had to do with like your choice of the ukulele when you finally got one? Where it's like, well, it's really not that expensive. It's kind of small. I know you said that 6 strings versus 4 strings thing kind of was like a tiny bit of a picker in there, but like I'm still like kind of, I don't know, just kind of thinking about like choosing the ukulele as an instrument. 'Cause like I said, I bought one just to see if I could figure out how to play it, honestly, you know. And once I kind of figured out how to play it, I was like, meh, you know, I like the electric guitar more. But I mean, you obviously like the ukulele more. It's probably easier to sing with a ukulele than an electric guitar, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, that, and I don't have to carry around an amp, you know, in order to make a decent amount of noise.
Smart.
That, and yeah, I mean, that was one of my main excuses I would make about why I was not getting any better at the guitar. I was like, I just have these girl hands, you know. I mean, I hate to make a sexist comment. I'm totally a feminist. I'll go on record saying that. But that was, you know, one of the excuses I like to make with ukulele. I almost said ukulele because because that was one of the names I was thinking of. It's kind of dumb, but so yeah, with a uke, it's much easier, you know, to finger. There were a few chords on a guitar that were just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get enough dexterity to really pull these off. So I found that's a lot easier with a uke, especially with the chord of F. Like on the guitar, it was so complicated, and it's so easy on the uke. Also, yeah, the fact that it's portable is lovely, because I love to travel. Probably traveled more than I should have, you know, at times in my life where I should have stayed and been stable. I decided to travel instead. You know, it's one of those over the rainbow kind of things. You got to realize that, you know, everything you need is right where you are already. Mm-hmm. Is that you're enough, you know, you can find happiness within yourself. But there have been times I've been like, I'm going to go out and find happiness somewhere else, and maybe it's across the country.
Mm-hmm. How fun is it that like that over the rainbow feeling you were talking about, and then like one of the most popular ukulele songs ever of all time ever is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
It is, and I love that song. I wish I could play it. I haven't put enough effort into learning to try, just because it seems pretty complicated, but it's so beautiful. I love singing it in the shower. It comes on my Pandora pretty often. And yeah, the fact that the guy that sang it I won't try to pronounce his entire name. Is such a big guy, and I kind of feel like maybe that's why a lot of guys, like you were saying, you'd feel a little weird, you know, going around with a uke. Mm-hmm. Like, I hate to say it, but you know, is it demasculating to have such a small instrument that's, you know, maybe
not in Hawaii?
Higher? Yeah, not in Hawaii. It's a Hawaiian instrument.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, well, dude, I mean, if nobody's seen the video, go look it up. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, honestly. But yeah, I mean, like the thing just disappears in his hands. That's how big he is, you know, and he just wails on it, you know. And it's like, how are you so good at this? And I mean, like one of my favorite musicians, I for a while I was like, well, I found all of the quote unquote virtuosos of the guitar. Let's look for other instruments, because someone's got to be really good at ukulele. So like I got into like Jake Shimabukuro. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he plays ukulele, and that's like his instrument. And I've seen him live a handful of times. I've met him. He's a really nice guy and stuff. And it's one of those things that like, it's definitely not demasculating, if that was like what the question would be, because, you know, it's not like, I'm not saying that because he's like so manly up there playing the thing, but it's, you know, he's playing everything anybody could play on a guitar and more, and he's doing it with only 4 strings, and it's not a hindrance at all. You know, it's not even like a thought in his mind, I'm sure. He's got a good documentary. If anybody's like, if there's anybody out there that's listening to this because it's Candice and she plays the ukulele and you like the ukulele, I'd suggest watching Life on 4 Strings. That's his documentary. It was available everywhere, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, seeing him perform live and doing all the stuff he would do with the ukulele was like, this thing can do so much more than I initially thought it would. Because like you said, it was everybody has this image in their mind of like this is a dainty instrument, ladies play it and it has this nice, higher pitched kind of thing, and then they can sing along with it and it's nice. And with him it's like not the case. So like it helped me understand the range of the instrument more than just being what I thought it initially was. And I think that's some of the beauty of picking up an instrument and learning more about it and finding those things. Have you found anybody that that plays ukulele that's like your favorite ukulele player?
There's a guy I follow on Facebook. I'm trying to remember his name. I definitely think he is Asian. But there was, I don't think it's the guy that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I know I saw a video one time of a guy playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
That's Jake.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I remember his name, sounding probably maybe Japanese.
Yeah, he's actually 50-50. His dad's from Japan.
Oh, cool.
So, but yeah, his parents got divorced. He had to go back and forth a bunch. He got really famous in Japan for playing like electric distorted ukulele, believe it or not. So he'd like shred it up there like a guitar, like super distorted and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to play that song on a uke instead of a guitar. But it's a beautiful song, and the way he did it was just phenomenal. Like, I didn't know that the uke was capable of that either, Mm-hmm. I'm just fumbling around here. And, some people are putting out some real genius stuff.
Yeah, the original video that is on YouTube, and it's like 15 years old. It's one of the original super old school YouTube videos that was out there from like the get-go. It was recorded with a Junko camera, and he just like, I think he was in New York at Strawberry Fields and was just like, why not play this song? And just whipped it out there on the spot, and they recorded it and just uploaded it, and it went super viral. I mean, to the point where he played his renditions of songs are all encompassing. They play the bass notes, they play the lead parts, they play the vocal parts, because he doesn't sing along with it. He lets the ukulele harmony, do the singing instead of actually singing. So he's playing all the background parts and everything. He was actually on a TED Talk once doing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a really good video too. When I went and saw him one time live, the program that they gave to everybody, and like you walk in, they're like, here's a program. It's like, I don't want a program, because I'm like, whatever. But they're like, just take one, trust me. So you take it, and then the show gets close to the end, and he says, everybody take out your programs and flip to the back, and the lyrics of Bohemian Rhapsody were on there. So everybody sang along while he played it, and it was one of the coolest things I ever saw, And I think the ukulele is definitely an underrated instrument. A lot of people pigeonhole it as we kind of have in this podcast, and it's definitely not just something that should be pigeonholed, and it's fun to see other people out there playing ukulele. I have actually interviewed one other person that plays ukulele, and that's what they use. They teach lessons and play that as a teaching exercise for kids. She like makes songs about washing your hands and things like that, and puts them to ukulele tunes, and then makes songs for kids to get them to know to wash their hands, and they sing along with it. So it's kind of fun to have all these different depths that you can actually have with an instrument. We're getting pretty close to the end. We've got about an hour, actually, believe it or not. Is there anything I haven't covered that you would like to talk about? Because I know you just post most of this stuff on your personal Facebook profile, so there won't be like a link in the bottom to go find all of Candice's awesome music, but you'll most likely be tagged in what I post. So if people want to reach out to you, that would probably be the best way to do it, I guess. But yeah, is there anything else I haven't really talked about? I mean, I feel like we've definitely meandered through most of the conversation the best we could here.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else. I mean, I've probably rambled here and there, but nothing else I could think about rambling about at this particular moment.
It made my job easy. Candice, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to sit down with me. This is one of the funnest things about doing the podcast, is being able to just randomly reach out to people that I wouldn't normally reach out to and talk to them about what they do. Whether or not they do it as a hobby, professionally, in their basement alone, around campfires, just for fun. It's good to be able to talk to people. I guess maybe the last question I have, do you have any aspirations of taking this to the stage in any capacity? Or let me ask you this: if there was somebody else that was like, "Hey, I play ukulele. Let's make a ukulele duet thingy," would that be something that would interest you?
I want to say that wouldn't terrify me. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to expand upon it. I think the funnest thing I can do is, because like if I only know a handful of songs, I play those same songs over and over again, I'm going to get bored with it. So the best way I can keep, interested and, just bring light into my life is to realize that I'm capable of learning new things and doing new things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'm not really the kind of person that likes routine that much, and life can get that way. So if I can put a spark to it somehow by finding some new interest or some new outlet, I'm going to try it out.
Yeah, makes sense. Sometimes just having someone else to bounce ideas off of is just enough, or like comes back to them coming in with an idea that you wouldn't have never thought of, and it's like, hey, check this out. And you're like, that's neat. I want to learn how to do that, and that's sometimes just finding the right person to sit next to and bounce ideas off of helps a lot. So yeah, I guess if anybody's interested in bouncing ideas off Candice, drop her a line. Like I said, I probably won't have any links because you don't have any like dedicated Facebook or YouTube pages to your music, but
I don't know. Maybe someday, but it's been really nice being able to talk with you about music because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. It's the
yeah.
I love it so much I can't even put it to words. There we go.
I get it. There we go. But we got an hour. We got an hour worth of words in there already. So Candice, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, baby. Well, we recorded that one outside, and you can kind of a little bit hear the crickets and stuff. Yeah. So the two of us actually met up at a jam night at Boggs Hole Avenue Tavern before doing the podcast, and then we had to find a quiet place to do a podcast outside somewhere, and, well, I guess there were crickets and stuff going on outside, so I hope that wasn't too distracting for everybody during the podcast. We did meet a friend there. Well, I wouldn't say a friend. Somebody came up and talked to us a little bit in the middle of the podcast, so hopefully that wasn't too much of a distraction. And also my recorder. I ran that SD card full. That's happened before. At least the batteries didn't die on me this time. But you know what? Rock and roll. That's what it's all about, is I'm just out there kind of floating my way through the music scene and trying to get to know everybody a little bit. And I didn't realize that Candice had been to so many shows. There's a lot of people that know her. I started looking into how many friends we have in common on Facebook, and there's quite a few people in the Des Moines area that seem to know Candice. So hopefully you guys can get to know her a little bit better through this podcast like I did. And as far as why she does what she does, it's just the desire to do it, and that's what it is. She wants to just see if she can do it and challenge herself, and when she's got the drive to do it, she wants to record it, and that way she has it forever before the drive is gone, and that's one of those really important things. You got to strike while the iron's hot, and I feel like that is something a lot of us have challenges with. It's I definitely have challenges with that, just as much as everybody is, but it just is what it is, guys, and I commend her for, at least going out there and learning ukulele, and maybe not having the ornate desire to go out there and try to get famous from doing it, but, just sheerly out of enjoyment, and that's really fun. As far as I'm concerned, that's what music's all about right there, having fun and enjoying it. And you know what? If you guys have fun doing what you're doing, and you're playing music, and you're just a basement player, you don't go out in bands or jam nights or anything like that, that's cool. As long as you're having fun, you're doing the right thing with music, and that's all there is to it. And yeah, I gotta say I really appreciate sitting down, getting to talk to her, and her taking some time out of her day to talk to me. So thanks, Candice. That was the first time also that I'd ever been to the Boggs Hole Avenue Jam. I've known about it for a year plus, 2 years, 3 years maybe even. I've known about it for a while, but I just have never attended. And I'll tell you what, there were musicians crawling out of the woodworks all night long playing music up there, and it was insanely fun. So if anybody's in the Des Moines area and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, and it's Sunday night and blah blah this, that, and the other, well, go to Boggs Hole Avenue Tavern and check out that Sunday jam night. It's pretty fun. Bring a guitar up. Maybe you guys can go up there and play a few too. You never know. There was rotating musicians kind of going up and off all night long. Everybody would go up there, and sometimes someone would just play 2 or 3 songs and duck out, or let somebody else play their stuff. men, women, and children. Well, I wouldn't say children, it's a bar, but everybody was up there. It was really cool. Young people, old people, everybody. It's definitely one of the most all-inclusive jam nights I've seen in a while. And speaking of jam nights, I went to the Barnum Jam this week as well. Barnum Jam night was packed. I ran into quite a few people there. I even traded a shirt with Scott Kirkhart, and a handful of people came out and bought shirts from me. So thank you guys very much. I also got to say thanks to people who are using our online shop that we've created. That is, it's proving actually pretty beneficial to have an online shop. I never really realized it. I never thought it would. I figured people would just contact me and buy a shirt that way. But believe it or not, setting up the shop and having everything available there to purchase, an easy click-through type thing, worked out really well. Worked out really well for both of us. For me as the person selling and for the customer. There was no longer 40 messages sent between people and everything. It was just, here's my address, here's the money, send me the goods, and I guess what? I sent the goods out. So there you go. I really appreciate everybody that's been checking out the website, the shop, everything like that, who's been checking out everything on our travels to 100 episodes. I've talked to about 90 plus people in 100 episodes, only doubling up a handful of times with a handful of different guests, and it's been fun. It's been really fun. I've got nothing super exciting planned for episode 100 really, but I've got a guest in mind already, and it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait for you guys to join me for the 100th episode. And hey, if you guys are bored, go on social media and let everybody know what your favorite episode from the first 99 has been. It's been something I've been thinking about as I've been doing this almost 2 years. It's really surprising. I haven't really thought too much about it, but it's really cool. It's really cool. I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've made a lot of new friends. I've gotten to know people who I thought I already knew quite a bit better. And you know what? I've found out that the secret to getting good is practice. It's practice. That seems to be the common thing through all these podcasts. But yeah, I got to say thanks to everybody who's been listening through all 100 episodes. Some of them, just picking out your favorites, whatever it is. Go back and listen to some of your other favorites. Share them if you want to. And, if you really, really, really want to support what we got going on here, check out the Audible Farm shop. I really appreciate that. And you know who else I appreciate? Couchtown Coffee. Go back to the intro, listen to that code word, save yourself 20% on anything at couchtowncoffee.com this week. They've been with us for, well, guess what? Almost 100 episodes as well. They've been with us almost since the beginning, and I'm really appreciative of that. Couchtown Coffee's been fueling me through all 100, I swear. It's every morning and sometimes at night. It's Couchtown Coffee. And you know what else fuels me to do this? Everybody listening. Everybody that listens to this. Everybody that stops me in public, no matter how awkward I am, and says, hey, this has been a really great experience to sit down and listen to you talking to all the other musicians about what makes them tick and some of the things they've done and their stories. So I got to say thanks to everybody that's been listening. So this has been 99 episodes of awesome. I couldn't have asked for anything more. So I got to say thanks to everybody. We will see you on that downside. It'll be episode 100 next week. So catch up next week, and we'll check you guys later. Peace.